Hey everybody, if you've been watching the series, you probably know what's coming up next. Another little ramble before work. I am not quite sure on the topic I want to talk about today. I kind of have two things floating in my head, and I guess I'll start with one, and if there's time, I can get to the next. One kind of flows with what we were talking about yesterday. So, but it relates a lot more with what's going on in today's world, especially since COVID. I know a lot of people think that the new vaccine is either a hoax or blah 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 whatever. If you're anything aware with science, you know how it works and you know how genuinely just game changing this is for medicine and the field of medicine. The ability to create basically the blueprint that then allows our body to fix the issue is just a step in the right direction. So the topic that I want to talk about is what I like to call gene boosters. So no one, as far as we know, no one likes the idea of genetically editing people on purpose, but I think it's something we need to start thinking about. I don't know if we quite have the capability to just full on edit a human adult genome, but I do know that it's possible at birth. So for the next generation, we have the possibility now to give them a tool set, like a shield or a layer of protection from things that we've dealt with our entire life. Bacteria, bacteria, viruses, like infections, all these other issues like sickness, organ failure that are genetically caused. Like, all these things are things that could be handled if the body had the information set to do it, or if the errors inside the DNA that are just prone to be there from thousands of years of human evolution, hundreds of thousands, I don't even know. The idea would be we cook up a shot or series of shots that either in vitro or when a baby is very young and still developing, the same way they get their measles and their smallpox vaccine and all these other things. Instead, we bundle them so that their body for like 5 years produces what they like, very small amounts of the measles protein spike and the smallpox protein spike, the same way that the mRNA vaccine for COVID works. But we give them a plethora. I have another idea that we basically just go into a human adult. I mean, I think it would be a little easier if you probably made a control, like whatever animal that we can use as genetic replacements for humans in this category. I don't know. I don't do genetics for medicine that much at all. So you introduce, let's say, the control to as many known pathogens and bacteria, all the just as possible. You allow their immune system to develop a very strong and handle like a response to these things. Then you copy their genetic information that has been obtained because now they have the blueprint to fight these things off. You copy it, you create something that would edit the genome of an in vitro baby. Now that baby has the blueprint to fight off all of these things from birth. Sounds possible. Sounds pretty damn possible. Again, I am not a genetic medicine scientist. I don't know how any of this works. These are just theories. Throw them out there. Maybe one of you guys hear it and think it's cool. But yeah, just take that idea and run from there. What is there that we can put in our genome before we get introduced into this harsh world that can make us withstand it a little more? And I think, it may not help us live that much longer. That's not really the goal with this. The goal is, by the time you hit 85, you're no more walking with a cane and, ow, my back hurts. Now you're pretty damn healthy. Like, you feel healthy even up to the point of your deathbed, because now you don't have multiple organ failure. Now it's literally just natural, quote unquote, natural causes, or just you being old that is killing you. You're not dealing with your bones creaking and craking and shit because you've had that extra strength for muscles and bones genetically edited into your body. Yeah, so we're only at 5 minutes, so I guess I could go try and talk about the next thing. So I am reading a book called Your Mind on Drugs. Or no, sorry, that's not it. It's called This Is Your Mind on Plants. Really good really good book. I also watched a Royal Institute interview with the guy that wrote the book, and he seems very intelligent and smart. He's a botanist, chemist, and a few other things. But he, he as much as his book is fun to explore, he got me on the idea of psychedelics again. I have been a psychedelic user in the past, and every now and then I like to take what is it? Sorry, I can't incriminate myself. I just thought about that. So let's move past that. But I've been a psychedelic user in the past, over 15 years ago. So, with what I know and from what I've read about psychedelics, they open up a realm of the mind that allows you to see functions that normally would not be able to be seen. And this isn't going to be some kind of world-changing idea again, or something that we throw out there that, seems radical, like a spaceport or, immortality. This one's just more of a cool thought. So let's take the one that I know to be the most drastic, the most substantial, DMT. It is the one that your brain produces upon death. It drastically pumps your brain cells full of the stuff. It's known to produce out of body images, like extreme visual hallucinations, all kinds of crazy stuff. But from experience and from what I read, I see something there. We have computers now that kind of emulate what a human's pattern and visual recognition system does. That's exactly what our neural networks are supposed to do, and they do a pretty good job at it. But if you look at very early stages of these neural nets, like layered networks and things like that Google was creating, one of the first ones were called Deep Dream. The images that it would produce would be almost fractal in nature. And granted, they would not be very complex. So it'd be eyes and dogs and birds and things like that. But that was because the data that the model was trained on isn't very, it's just eyes, birds, and dogs and so on. So take that and scale it up to the human brain. The human brain has every model trained. I know what a sign looks like, the ground looks like, a tree looks like, the floor. I can recognize almost anything at a glance instantly. That's how humans work. That's the pattern recognition model that we're working with. Now run that same deep dream system. That fractal nature of those images will get infinitely multiplied. And when you take, or at least listen to someone that has taken DMT, you get that kind of experience. You get this fractal explosion. And my theory that what's going on there is you are starting to see some of the inner working layers of the subconscious, the back of the brain, what's going on in there. You get shielded so much. And let me quick side note, psychedelics have been known to break that barrier between the conscious and the subconscious and allow some information to leak. And I think DMT just does it. But the brain creates a barrier to keep us safe, quote unquote, from that mental overhead that's going on in the background. So if we break that barrier down, what are we to see? So I think DMT is what I call inclusive. So if you close your eyes and you sit back, stimuli kind of, for the most part, gets cut off from the outside world. Meaning the only stimuli that your brain is receiving is from itself. And then it's sending that information that it's getting from itself, from your memories, from your all that other junk back there, and it's sending it to the consciousness. And then the consciousness is looking at it, with the awareness, and it, like, the consciousness isn't looking out anymore, it's staring backwards. So I'm staring at the process machine do its process, and then the process spits out an answer. I look at the answer and then give it right back to the process machine to reprocess. And then that happens as many times as the brain does calculations a second, over and over and over. And because of a human's visual nature, an entire an entire world made of fractal patterns and geometric figures and stuff just appears in front of our eyes. And I've read some papers by mathematicians that say you get this 2D effect because the brain first creates a 2D layer of the fractal stuff, and then that 2D layer starts to fold back, and then as it overtakes a 360 degree, we get this dimensionalized effect. Well, if you look at trip accounts from people that have taken DMT, it looks like they're going through a tunnel, then they get launched through the tunnel, starts to bend, and then they enter a realm or a world or DMT land or whatever they call it. Sounds like an enveloped visual to me. So, I don't know. There's some fun things for you guys to think about. Again, I don't make these videos too long. I've got to get eating, and go ahead and get ready for work. But I really appreciate anybody that stopped by. I appreciate you listening to me ramble on. If you did like the video, like the video. If you think you want to hear stuff like this pretty much every day, I think I'm going to keep these things uploaded every day. Go ahead and subscribe. And I'll leave everyone at that. Bye.